Hi everyone, welcome to the second webinar conducted by TCS Online in lieu of the CIMA operational case study examinations happening in May and August 2022. Please remember that this webinar is a continuation of the webinar which was held last Friday, where I spoke about exam preparation. And if there is anyone who had not being part of webinar number 1, there's absolutely nothing to worry. After this session, I will be sharing a link of webinar number 1 as well as the recorded session of webinar number 2, which I'm conducting right now. Okay, so let's try to figure out what I'm gonna do under this webinar. So as you guys know, the pre-scene is out. So you need to have, you need to go through the entire pre-scene in order to gain a better understanding about the type of activities the company is up to. So in today's session, I will be taking you through part of the pre-scene document, and I'll be trying to highlight how you guys are supposed to decrypt the information which appears in the pre-scene, what type of an analysis you need to carry out, or what type of a methodology you need to adhere to when analyzing your pre-scene. So session outcomes are threefold. So first things first, I'm gonna carry out an industry analysis. So when I'm carrying out the industry analysis, I'm not gonna go through the pre-scene document. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about real life dynamics of the considered industry for your case study, which is happening this time. And in the second part, I will be talking about how you are supposed to apply knowledge which is brought in from the pre-scene, because when providing answers at your exam, you have to always relate to the task at hand, and on top of that, you need to bring in knowledge from your OTQ examinations pertaining to E1, P1, and F1, and you need to finally you need to know what type of information needs to be depicted within your answers, and how information which you have taken from the pre-scene document can be brought into your answers. So I will be talking about how you can apply knowledge gained through the pre-scene, gained by going through the pre-scene, and how you can apply that knowledge in your answers. And as the last part of today's session, I will be conducting a pre-scene analysis looking at the introduction, looking at the introduction or the introductory information provided in your pre-scene. Okay, so when before carrying out the industry analysis, I need to tell you these things. You are required to be familiar with the industry, but need not be an industry expert. So in webinar number 1, I said that you are replicating a role played by a finance officer of your chosen company. As I told you earlier, the finance officer is at the lowest level of the organization, so there's minimal decision making involved. You are not supposed to provide too much of recommendations. Instead, you are supposed to assist the decision makers. You are supposed to assist your finance manager, because you are, as the finance officer of the company, you are directly reporting to the finance manager. So as an individual who is at the lowest level of the organization, you are not supposed to be too familiar with the industry, or you're not supposed to be, actually speaking, you are not supposed to be an industry expert. However, you need to have some sort of an understanding about the industry, because if you do not know the general information you need to know about the industry, then you cannot come up with better answers. So when providing answers, you need to be familiar with the industry. However, you are not supposed to be an industry expert. So I'm not asking you guys to memorize all these things. Just keep these points which I'm going to talk about in your mind. That's all you need to know when it comes to providing answers at the operational case study. Because if you were doing the strategic case study or SCS, then you need to have a good understanding about the industry. However, when attempting the OCS exam, you are not supposed to become an industry expert. So please bear that in mind. All right, so let's look at the market. This market is known as the meal kit market. So we are this time's case study is based on an industry which is known as the meal kit industry. So this is a food service business model, and typically a company which is part and parcel of the meal kit industry sends customers fresh, portioned and partially prepared food ingredients and recipes to prepare home cooked meals. So simply put, what this industry is up to is now your company, which is considered for this time's operational case study, is meals at home. So meals at home is part and parcel of the meal kit industry. And these players within the meal kit industry, what they do is they would source raw materials or ingredients, frozen food items and whatnot. They would package it together and send it across to customers, so that customers at the convenience of their homes can put all these ingredients and frozen foods and whatnot together and prepare their own meals at home. So most of the time, if you look at the industry dynamics, most of the time youngsters are using meal kits. Why? Because youngsters are always busy with their corporate or entrepreneurial endeavors. So in such a context, they don't have enough time to cook. So in such and they don't have enough time to go for grocery shopping. So in such a context, what they do is they can instead purchase a meal kit, and there is a recipe book inside every meal kit. You just need to look into the recipe and start preparing your meals at home. So that is what the meal kit industry is about. A typical company which operates within the meal kit industry sends customers fresh portioned and partially prepared food ingredients and recipes to prepare home cooked meals. The service is marketed as a time-saving solution for busy workers and parents who want to cook fresh home cooked meals. So this is exactly what I told you about previously. And customers need to subscribe to the service by paying a fee. So customers need to subscribe to a meal kit service, and in order to subscribe, they have to pay a fee. And this this payment could be a monthly payment, a quarterly payment, or you can subscribe for annual payments as well. So these are the this is the definition when it comes to the meal kit industry. Then let's look at the real life market dynamics. This information does not appear in your pre-scene. Instead, I'm talking about the real meal kit industry. I've taken the real facts and figures. So the meal kit industry in the world is valued at USD's 10 billion in 2020. And it is forecasted to grow to USD's 24.14 billion by 2027. So it's forecasted that there would be some growth which is in excess of 10% between 2020 to 2027. So we can see that there's a forecasted growth of 13% by 2027. So this is a moderate level of growth if you really look at it. And demand has significantly decreased due to the pandemic. Yes, because consumers had opted to cook meals at home. They need not visit their offices anymore, because during the pandemic most of the customers were in lockdown. So the demand for meal kit industry has decreased. Why? With more time on their hands, typical customers who would have used meal kits started preparing their own food at home, doing their own grocery shopping, especially online grocery shopping. All right, folks, sorry about that. We were experiencing some technical difficulties. I was actually experiencing some technical difficulties from my end. So I was talking about the real life market dynamics in the meal kit industry. And I was talking about major market drivers. So the major market drivers are the busy lifestyles of Gen Y and Z customers, because as I told you guys earlier, these individuals who are from generation Y or generation Z, they don't have too much of time on their hands to go for grocery shopping and spend a lot of time to cook meals on their own. So because of that, they are always looking for convenience. So that drives the demand for the meal kit industry, and these guys are extremely interested about healthy eating as well. So companies in the meal kit industry needs to focus on the health consciousness, which is driving the market. And when it comes to convenience, the customers are looking for ease of preparation as well as time saving when it comes to cooking. So the largest market by revenue is North America and Europe. However, the Asia Pacific market is growing rapidly. So because of that, most of the meal kit companies which operates in North Americas or in Europe are actually moving into the Asia Pacific at the moment. So that's the trend at the moment. And looking at the major players, Blue Apron, HelloFresh, Home Chef, and Sunbasket, these are the type of real life companies which are involved with the meal kit industry. So I will be talking about two of these companies, to make sure that you have a better understanding about what this industry is about and what type of companies are involved within this industry. Okay, then let's look at the competitive landscape. There are a presence of various regional and global players. So there are, local meal kit companies as well as meal kit companies which can be considered as multinationals, and companies are competing on product offering. So definitely the companies are trying to provide ingredients which carries the utmost levels of quality, and on top of that, companies are trying to fulfill the health related needs of the customers. So they try to make sure that the calorie counts, or they inform customers about the calorie counts, the quality of ingredients and whatnot. And they compete on price as well. So once I start the pre-scene analysis, it is mentioned in the pre-scene as well that the profit margins within this industry is extremely low. Why? Because almost all the players are trying to compete on price. They try to reduce prices as much as possible with the aim of increasing their demand. So in such a context, it's typical that the margins will be lesser. And on top of that, companies compete on marketing as well, especially the major players. They compete heavily via advertising and marketing, and they are also trying to differentiate based on quality of ingredients and recipes. So when coming up with recipes, certain major players have tied themselves up with celebrity chefs so that it's easier for them to sell their recipes to normal consumers. So these are the type of trends or type of competition you would see within this industry. And major players pursue international expansion via, so major players, I said that there are 5 or 6 major players. So these major players, with the aim of increasing their sales, they had pursued international expansion. Earlier I said that North America, the meal kit producers which were in North Americas and Europe are moving into the Asia Pacific. So that's the type of international expansion which you can see in this industry. How would they expand internationally? Most of these companies had resorted to acquiring smaller players or expanding to high income countries in Asia Pacific, Central and South America, and Middle East and Africa. So this gives you an indication about the competitive landscape of the industry. And looking at the market shares, you can see that Blue Apron has the highest market share, trailed by HelloFresh and the other smaller players. Looking at customer segmentation, this is the way in which you would demarcate your markets. So they segment by service. So cook and eat market share is 61%, and 39% of the customers are looking for heat and eat related. They are not too interested in cooking. Instead, they would rather order something, order pre-cooked meals, heat it and eat it. So that's 39% of your customers. And they segment by product as well. So there are meat and fish related meal kits, vegetarian meal kits, vegan as well as gluten-free meal kits. And segmentation by platform. Most of our customers, 60% of our customers are using online channels. So when they are subscribing to meal kit services, they subscribe through an mobile application or through a website. And 40% of the customers are involved with offline purchasing of meal kits. And they segment based on end user as well. So these industries predominantly focused on the bachelors out there, and they are focused on the newly married couples, families, as well as university students. And based on the differing needs of these types of end users, companies usually come up with unique meal kits. And they segment based on geography as well. So as I told you earlier, the major players, the industry actually started in North America and Europe, but it is moving into Asia Pacific, Central and South America, Middle East, as well as Africa. Right. So looking at the industry trends, there's a lot of product innovation to be seen, because meal kit companies are providing a lot of add-ons such as appetizers, side dishes, or desserts. And there are limited edition ranges as well. I told you previously that most of these meal kit companies work with celebrity chefs when developing their recipes. So these are the type of limited edition ranges I'm talking about. And as I told you earlier, they collaborate with celebrity chefs. And another trend is using healthy ingredients and recipes. Meal kit companies, because they know that Gen Y and Gen Z customers are extremely health conscious, they had introduced carb-free meals. And on top of that, when looking at the quality of ingredients, they have introduced organic based meal kits as well. And these companies within the meal kit industry are hell-bent on reducing carbon emissions in transportation, because if you want to appeal to Gen Y and Z customers, you better get your carbon emissions down. So that's the same dynamic you can see here. And they are pursuing sustainable sourcing. So sustainable sourcing is a scenario where you only purchase from suppliers which believes in sustainability, which believes in reducing carbon emissions as much as possible, just like you. Okay, so that's an emerging trend. And on top of that, most of these companies are using smart technology for their benefit. So as I told you earlier, 60% of our customers are online customers. So adopting smart tech will ensure that we as a company would benefit. And on top of that, we are in a position to offer utmost levels of convenience to our customers. So let me take you through two real life examples, real world examples. So first things first, I'm looking at the largest player, Blue Apron, which has about a 40% market share. This is the largest player within the industry by number of subscriptions. And looking at the type of products offered or subscription options offered, the price per serving, price per meal kit could range from USD 7.5 and $10. And the preparation options, they offer 2 to 4 recipes per week or 2 to 4 servings per recipe. Okay, so you need not memorize all these things, but it's better to have some type of an understanding about the real life dynamics within the industry. So just bear in mind that meal kits are extremely affordable, because the price range, Blue Apron meal kits, the price range is between $7.5 and $10. And the preparation time of a typical Blue Apron meal kit is 30 to 45 minutes. So I said that these customers are looking for convenience in cooking, because they don't have too much of time on their hands to spend on cooking. So because of that, Blue Apron had come up with recipes or meal kits which can be prepared between 30 to 45 minutes, and that's considered to be normal within the industry. And special offerings, Blue Apron, I said, these companies, in order to stand out or to increase their competitive edge, they offer various different add-ons. So the type of add-ons or the special offerings provided by Blue Apron are wine pairing, special menus for festive seasons, especially the Christmas season, and menus prepared by celebrity chefs. So that's what Blue Apron is into. And looking at the second company, HelloFresh, this is the second largest player by number of subscriptions, and there are various different subscription options. So their price ranges between $4.70 to USD $10, and the preparation options are 2 to 4 recipes per week are provided, and 2 to 4 servings per recipe, just like Blue Apron. And the preparation time is 30 to 45 minutes. So you can see that this is the benchmark preparation time within the industry. And these guys are really concerned about sustainability when it comes to packaging, because there's a lot of packaging material usually used within this industry. So in order to stand out, the company has adopted sustainable packaging. And special offerings, I was mentioning about special offerings, and these special offerings are diet plans, because the Gen Y and Gen Z customers are extremely health conscious, dinner to lunch elements, allowing ingredient substitution so that there's some type of customization. Customers who are purchasing HelloFresh meal kits has the ability of customizing their meal kit, and because of it, they are offering classic recipes, a set of veggie recipes, as well as family plans. So this is what you need to remember, right? So the first part of today's session is done. The industry analysis part is done. Before we commence on to the pre-scene analysis, I just want to know whether you guys have any questions pertaining to what was discussed with regards to the industry. Any questions, guys? I can give you 5 to 10 minutes and then move on to the pre-scene analysis. Any questions? Okay, one of the students is saying that there aren't any. Okay, I hope you guys understood the industry dynamics. All right, so since there aren't any questions, I'm going to move forward. Right, so we are moving on to the second part of today's webinar. In the first part, I said I'll be taking you through an industry analysis, looking at the real life industry dynamics of the meal kit industry. Then I said in the second part, I'll teach you guys as to how you can apply knowledge gained from the pre-scene. So first things first, you need to know your key information. So I assume that you would have gone through the pre-scene document, and it's a 25-page document, and there's chunks and chunks of information. The pre-scene is divided into 4 main areas. Number 1 is the introduction. Number 2 is company operations. Number 3 is an industry analysis or information about the industry. And number 4 consists of financial information, or the SOPL, SOFP, and the statement of cash flows of meals at home. So there's a lot of information, as I told you earlier. So you need to figure out which of the information can be left out and which of the information are key with regards to your understanding or your level of understanding about the company. So you need to know your key information. Again, in this area, we've got your back, because we've done a set of videos, 4 videos covering the entire pre-scene, and which I myself conducted. And on top of that, we are providing something called the annotated pre-scene, and once you go through the annotated pre-scene, you are in a position to figure out the most important facts which you need to remember about the company. So for example, Meals at Home sells 6 different meal kits. So this type of information, it's better if you can memorize these things or remember these things rather than fishing for this information at the real exam. Then when it comes to the ratio analysis, you have to remember the key ratios. As a finance officer, this is not too relevant, However, you need to, if there is something really wrong within the company, then you need to remember the certain ratios. Again, there's nothing to worry in this area, because we have done a separate video covering ratio analysis as well as horizontal analysis based on the financial statements provided. And on top of that, we are providing a separate set of slides pertaining to financial analysis. So after you go through these documents and this video, then you'd understand about the financial situation of the company. And you have to be prepared for possible scenarios, but be open-minded. Yes. So after going through the pre-scene, whilst going through the pre-scene, if you go through our annotated pre-scene, we have, picked out on hints provided by the examiner, based on which we can say, these type of questions can be tested, or these type of syllabus content can be tested. Although that is the case, we cannot predict exactly what type of questions will be thrown at you, what type of scenarios will arise in the real exam. So it's better to prepare yourself for possible scenarios, but be open-minded, because as what I told in webinar number 1, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment at the exam. So in such a context, the finance officer will not know what type of problems the company would face tomorrow. So until you go to work, until you receive an email from somebody, you don't know what's happening within the company. So you can't predict what type of questions will arise within your examination. You need to be open-minded. So if you do 5 exam standard mock exams, go through the suggested answers, and if possible, if you had sought feedback or personalized feedback from our lead tutors, then definitely you can be confident about passing the exam and be open-minded. And remember, the scenario presented in the exam is the latest information. Yes. So the examiner talks about what has been happening within the company in the past through the pre-scene, and on top of that, some type of information is provided about what is gonna be adopted by the company in the future. Certain hints are provided. Other than that, when you go to the exam, it's as if your own finance manager is sending you an email. A company has faced some issue, your finance manager is sending you an email, and you are supposed to come up with answers or provide suggestions to the finance manager. So that's how you are supposed to handle the pre-scene. So when applying information, just pick out the key information. You need to know your numbers by looking at or going through a ratio analysis, and you have to be open-minded. So that's what you need to remember. You need not overcomplicate your life too much, because remember, this is the first case study, the operational case study. So you need not relate too much to the company, but it's better if you can show to the examiner that you know certain key information. Right. Referring to the pre-scene information in answers, refer or cite in such a way that it adds value to the point you are presenting in the answer. So, in my CIMA teaching career, I've seen so many students, just with the intention of showing the examiner that they know something about the company, they would, mention something which appeared in the pre-scene. However, the point which you are making, if it is not relevant to the task at hand, you won't get any marks, because just because you provide general information, just because you bring in general information from the pre-scene, it does not mean that the examiner is going to give you marks. So the examiner, in webinar number 1, I said the examiner looks at quality over quantity. So you have to make sure that if you are bringing some type of information from the pre-scene, it needs to add value to your answer, rather than providing general elaborations. And do not force it to show the marker that you have studied the pre-scene. Yes, that's what I highlighted earlier. So you can better understand what type of reference can be given in your answers. How can you refer? Well, I will be talking about what type of information needs to be brought in, and how you can refer to pre-scene information in webinar number 3, which is happening next Sunday, where I'll be talking about the exam technique. And on top of that, you can understand how to bring in information from the pre-scene by going through suggested answers of mock exams as well. Right. So then you need to have a study plan pertaining to E1, F1, and P1, especially if you are coming through the exemption route. Guys, I'm getting certain discrepancies. Right, I muted the. Okay, sorry about that. So especially if you are coming through the FLP route, you need to know how to study E1, F1, and P1. Prepare for application of theories and concepts. So you need to understand theoretical components pertaining to E1, F1, and P1. A higher weightage is provided at the operational case study towards P1 and F1. So you need to know your P1 and F1 properly in order to be successful in the operational case study. And prepare for interpretation of figures and numbers. So in the operational case study, in the third webinar, which is happening next week, I'll be taking you through a mock exam and the suggested answer. So when going through the suggested answer, you will understand what I'm talking about. Okay, you'd better understand what I'm talking about next week. In the exam, all the numbers and calculations will be provided. You are not supposed to do any calculations at the operational case study. What you are supposed to do is you just need to look into the information provided, the numbers provided, the calculations provided, and interpret these numbers or calculations in your answers. So you're not supposed to do any calculations, major calculations. Instead, you are just supposed to interpret numbers which would appear, or interpret a calculation which appears as part of a question. So prepare for interpretation of figures and numbers. And when studying E1, F1, and P1 related areas, do not skip any topics, because any area, any syllabus area can be tested at your exam. However, don't worry, because we have come up with 5 exam standard mock exams covering all areas pertaining to the OTQ syllabus content in relation to E1, F1, and P1. And do not rely on predictions. I highlighted this point earlier as well, because we cannot know for sure what areas can be tested in the real exam. So it's better to be open-minded, because as any area can be examined. Right. So that's how we are supposed to tackle E1, F1, and P1. And let me take 2 minutes of your time to talk about what we are offering. We are offering 2 packages. So the essential pack consists of 4 pre-scene analysis videos, and annotated pre-scene, industry analysis document, 5 exam standard mock exams with suggested answers covering the entire syllabus of OCS or the operational level. Then there's a separate set of financial analysis slides, top 10 likely issues slide, OCS familiarization kit. If you're coming through the FLP route, definitely you need to get your hands on the OCS familiarization kit to familiarize yourself with the technicalities of the operational case study examination. And you can go through the first webinar, the recording of the first webinar as well, to familiarize yourself with OCS. And you have access to a WhatsApp discussion forum, and we are offering a pass guarantee. All this is provided at £99. And the value pack has everything which I spoke about under the essential pack. But on top of all these things, you gain access to an online mock exam platform. So when attempting your 5 mock exams, you can use this online platform. And professional marking and feedback will be provided for mocks 3, 4, and 5. And I myself will be providing feedback to you guys. Okay. And by looking at this feedback, you can definitely fine tune your answers and improve your chances of passing the examination. And we are providing theory recaps pertaining to E1, F1, and P1 syllabus areas as well. So if you ask me, the value pack is most suitable for students who are coming through the exemption route, such as the FLP program, because you need to understand the theoretical components pertaining to E1, F1, and P1 better. And on top of that, if you had struggled with your OTQ examinations, then it's better to go for the value pack, or else if you are returning to CIMA studies after a prolonged study break, again, I would recommend that you go for the value pack, and the investment is £199. Right. So that brings us to the end of the second part of today's webinar. Now I'm going to move into the last and third part, which is the pre-scene analysis. All right. So recording. All right. So as I told you guys earlier, we are in the third part of the pre-scene analysis, or the second webinar. So as I told you earlier, the pre-scene consists of 4 main areas: the introduction, company operations, industry dynamics, and financial statements. So in today's session, I'll be just looking at the first part, which is the introduction. And you can refer to our website to get access to the second video, which gives you information pertaining to company operations. So the first 2 parts of the pre-scene, I've analyzed it free of charge, and this content can be accessed via our website. I'll be talking about it later as well. All right. So your role is that of a finance officer working within the finance department of Meals at Home. So Meals at Home is the name of the company in which you are employed at, and you are the finance officer. So as a finance officer, your role is focused on the short term, because since you are at the lowest level of the organization, you are not involved with strategic decision making. So instead you are supposed to carry out routine work, which is focused on the short term. And as a finance officer, you need to carry out budgets, variance analysis, costing initiatives. So you need to have an understanding about digital costing as well. And you need to be aware about how to manage short-term finances, thereby having a knowledge about how to manage working capital management. And you'll be involved with short-term risk management, and you will assist decision making. So rather than providing recommendations, you will be providing suggestions to the finance manager, because you are directly reporting to the finance manager. So you need to have a good understanding about all these areas. Again, if you look at all these areas, it's predominantly focused on the P1 syllabus. So it's of utmost importance that you have a good understanding about the P1 syllabus. And you are supposed to provide information to managers and assist with decision making. So when arriving at decisions, at all times, CIMA expects its students as well as members to adhere to the CIMA code of ethics when it comes to decision making. So E1 related areas pertaining to ethics can be tested in your exam. So that's what you are. That's actually who you are. Then let's look at the introduction to the company. Okay. Meals at Home is a company that sells meal kits direct to customers through a digital subscription service. So I took you through an industry analysis, and I highlighted these points. And in this industry, it is normal, since 60% of the customers are online customers, it is normal to provide services through a digital platform. So since this company, Meals at Home, is involved with selling meal kits, probable areas which can be tested are standard costing, costing methods, and the cost volume profit analysis, right? So these areas, CVP analysis, all these syllabus content can be tested. Again, I've prepared mocks covering all these areas. So if you go through our mocks, then you would know what type of questions will be thrown at you, or what type of answers you are supposed to provide for each syllabus area tested. And a meal kit includes the ingredients for a single meal for a set number of portions of that meal, and a recipe card which gives instructions on how to prepare and cook the meal at home. So I highlighted this point earlier as well. So not only the ingredients are provided as part of a meal kit, a recipe card is provided, which helps the preparation or the food preparation process. The company is based in Newland, a country which is in Europe, and the functional currency is in dollars. Meals at Home was founded in 2012. So the company has been in existence for the past 10 years. And the two founders are Jonas and Ravi Smith. Ben comes from a background in marketing, and Ravi comes from a background in IT. Both had appropriate knowledge to run a business, because you need marketing and IT to run a business these days. So they had appropriate knowledge. However, they lacked knowledge to run operations, because they were not from the meal kit industry or the retail sector or the food industry. So although these two founders were experts in their own areas, they did not have too much of knowledge about running a meal kit company when they started. Despite having a keen interest in cooking and eating healthy, they struggle to find time to plan menus and to get to supermarkets. So the examiner is highlighting customer needs. We saw the same type of needs when we were conducting the industry analysis as well. So customers are looking for convenience in food consumption due to their busy lifestyles, and they are hell-bent on healthy eating. So that's what the two founders were looking at when it comes to preparing meals, and they understood that there's a gap in the market, and they started exploiting the market by setting up a company in 2012. In 2012, Ben and Ravi engaged the services of Henry Lopez, an experienced chef and recipe developer. Together, they developed 20 recipes. So since they, as I told you earlier, these two founders were not from the meal kit industry. So they needed guidance from an industry expert. So they, got services from an experienced chef, Henry Lopez, and Henry Lopez is still within the board of Meals at Home. In the first year of trading, Meals at Home made a revenue of $4.5 million. So you can see that the company gained exponential growth in the year of inception, and shows that Meals at Home's meal kits were addressing customer needs when we introduced meal kits to the market. And from 2016, the company has sold meal kits throughout Newland. So the company started its operations in 2012. 4 years down the line, they had penetrated the entire country. So that shows that they have been successful since inception. And because of that, it had driven their growth to other areas within the country. And the budget for the year to 31st December 2022 forecasts revenue of $75.8 million and an operating profit of $2.1 million. Although these budgets are there, you should remember that the company has not achieved its budget in the past year, because the revenues are lesser than what was budgeted. And if you look at this, look at the financial statements, the company has experienced operating losses for the past 2 years. So although the company is loss making, it is forecasted that these guys will, or it is budgeted that the company will make a profit. I don't think that the company will be able to achieve these budgets given the low levels of profitability or losses within the company. So I expect you guys to go through video number 4, where I'm analyzing the financial statements, and in that video I'll be highlighting more about the financial problems within the company in depth. And the survival and growth of the company has been made possible by investment and support from venture capitalists and business angels. So as I told you earlier, financially, specifically looking at profitability doesn't look too good when you look at Meals at Home. So whenever there were financial strains, business angels or venture capitalists had pumped in money to keep the company afloat. Okay, why is this the case? Because there's a slow path to profit which is consistent with other meal kit companies. So I highlighted this point earlier in the industry analysis. I said that the profit margins are low. Because the profit margins are low, it is hard to make profits within this industry. Okay, so whenever there were issues with profitability or cash flows, business angels or venture capitalists had invested money on the company. So having low margins is an industry dynamic which you need to remember about. And the aim of the company is to provide these things. So rather than going through the entire paragraph, you can just look at the comments which I've made, and this can be considered as the most important facts which you need to remember. Okay, so the company aims are using good quality ingredients, healthy ingredients. So they are hell bent on keeping the carbohydrates low and maintaining a high nutritional value. And clear recipe instructions, providing clear recipe instructions is another aim of meals at home. So meals at home, the two founders were looking for convenience when it comes to food preparation. So the company is trying to provide the same type of convenience which the two founders were looking for by giving clear recipe instructions. And any type of a meal kit which is sold under the Meals at Home brand should be preparable within 45 minutes. So that is in line with industry dynamics. I highlighted that point earlier when I was taking you through the industry related information. The head office of the company is located 40 kilometers outside of Newland's capital city. So the head office consists of a development kitchen where you develop and test new recipes. I said that most companies within the meal kit industry are looking at innovation or providing add-ons to keep customers with them. So you need development kitchens to test your meal kits. So that happens within the head office, and production occurs within the head office as well. Actually speaking, we don't produce too much, but we are handling an assembly and packaging process. So the assembly and packaging process is located within the head office as well. This is so because our company is relatively smaller. This is an unquoted company. So usually small companies have all their operations within one head office. Assembly of boxes and meal kits, can we assembly, when it comes to assembly of boxes and meal kits, it happens in a separate location which is 5 kilometers away from our head office. So in order to reduce our emissions, maybe we can locate our head office closer, our production plant closer to the head office, or the head office closer to the production plant. Ben and Ravi consider sustainability to be the heart of the business. So this paragraph gives us an indication about the sustainability outlook of the company. Both owners believe in sustainability. So because of that, the company, in an overall sense, tries to reduce food waste as much as possible. And the company is pursuing ethical sourcing. So they are considering something called food kilometers when it comes to supply selection. So they would source from suppliers who are closely located to them, so that they can significantly drive down the transportation, the distance in transportation, thereby driving down carbon emissions. And the challenges, when you're trying to achieve sustainability, you have to be open for challenges as well. If you are to become a sustainable company, you have to reduce the amount of packaging. And since we are in the meal kit industry, we are using multiple packaging. So reducing the amount of packaging could be a challenge, and reducing emissions in distribution could be a challenge as well, because especially this company had outsourced, Meals at Home has outsourced distribution. So in such a context, we need to have collaborative relationships with our logistics partners. We have to make sure that our logistic partners share the same ethos when it comes to sustainability. Okay, so achieving such an outcome is not too easy, right? So the examiner had provided extracts from Meal at Home website. So by going through this information, you can understand the nitty-gritties or the internal dynamics of the company. So the subscription options, I said that in the industry analysis as well, I said that there are various different subscription options. So Meals at Home provides once a week subscription option, subscription option, once a fortnight, or once a month. So customers can cancel, pause, or change the subscription plan at any time. However, it needs to be done 3 days before distribution occurs. So I'll be talking about that point later on. Okay, you just need to remember that there are 3 subscription options: once a week, once a fortnight, and once a month. And meal sizes offered by Meals at Home are large meal kits as well as small meal kits. And under large and small meal kits, you can include 2, 3, or 4 meal kits in a single order. And irrespective of your order, irrespective of whether you order 2 meal kits, 3 meal kits, or 4 meal kits, everything will be packaged and delivered, in a single box. Why? Because the company is trying to reduce packaging as much as possible. Then looking at the type of recipes offered by Meals at Home, there are 50 available recipes which are updated every week. Out of these 50 recipes, 20 are vegetarian kits. At the moment, we are not, providing vegan kits. So at the exam, there could be a situation where we are pursuing this, and based on that, a certain syllabus area could be tested. So this is an opportunity for us to move into a new market, because higher the level of sales, higher the potential for revenue and profitability. And when coming up with recipes, or when developing recipes, the company aims to make sure that our recipes are easy to follow, quick to prepare, and highly nutritious. And all our recipes are calorie counted. Why? We are focused on Gen Y and Gen Z customers, and these guys, as I told you earlier, are extremely health conscious. So providing calorie counted recipes would ensure that these customers fulfill their health related needs. And looking at the type of ingredients used within our meal kits, we use fresh ingredients as well as ingredients of highest quality, and we try to source from new land to reduce emissions in distribution. So I highlighted this point earlier as well. So if we are to reduce emissions effectively, then we have to maintain collaborative supply relationships. So we have to, and on top of that, we have to have collaborative relationships with the distributors, so that we can ensure that all our suppliers and distributors believe in sustainability just the way we do. Okay, so that's that. Then how the subscription service works, some information is provided. So step 1 is setting up your account. So you have to provide your name, address, and payment details when setting up your personal account. And after setting up the account, you need to select your preference. You can select the size of the meal kit, frequency of delivery, as well as your ingredient preference or food preference. So size, as I told you earlier, Meals at Home is providing 2 different types of meal kits, small and large meal kits. And irrespective of the size, you can order 2, 3, or 4 meal kits in a box. So that's your preference with regards to the size. You need to select through your app, through the mobile application or the website. You have to select the size of your meal kit and how many meal kits you need to purchase. And you can determine the frequency of delivery as well, be it once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month. And you can set your preferences as well. So for instance, if you are a vegetarian, you can mention that only vegetarian and only vegetarian options as well as recipes will be shown to you the next time you shop. So that's how the selection process works. And you have to place an order. You can select your meal kit and delivery date. You can amend the size of your meal kit and whatnot and the preferences. And at the same time, you can cancel the delivery as well. Okay, but whether you are selecting a meal kit, amending your order, or canceling your order, you have to do it 3 days before delivery is due. Okay, why are you supposed to select, amend, or cancel your order 3 days before? Because this company carries out their operations on a daily basis. So when it comes to purchasing, now in video number 2, I will be highlighting these points. I'll just give a synopsis of what is yet to come, what is yet to be discussed. This company holds on to 3 different types of inventories, and out of them, 2 are purchased on a daily basis. So in such a context, if customers keep on changing their orders, the company won't have enough time to manage their inventories and manage their orders as well as distribution. So because of that, if a customer wants to select a new meal kit or delivery date, if they want to amend their order or cancel their order, they have to do it 3 days before delivery is due. If you forget to select your meal kits or to cancel a delivery, so as a customer, if you forget to select your meal kit or cancel a delivery, we will automatically send you a box including the appropriate size and number of meal kits based on your saved preferences. So if you want to stop using these services, then you need to notify the company, or else, or you can just get rid of all these preferences from the app, or else the company will keep on supplying you. So that's how the ordering process work and what to expect when you receive the order. So in a typical meal kit provided by Meals at Home, these type of contents will be there. There's a inner chill box because you are dealing with perishable items, and these perishable items need to be included as part of an inner chill box. And there are several different meal kit bags, which consists of tins, packets, herbs, and spice mixers. So there are separate meal kits for separate types of or different types of ingredients, and at all times the company is providing fresh ingredients. So these are the things which you need to remember about what we offer. Then let me take you through the directors of the company. Let's try to figure out what type of leadership is within the company. You get Ben Jonas, one of the founders, which founded the company in 2012. This guy is handling sales and marketing. And it's typical because Ben is from a marketing background. So as the marketing director, sales and marketing director of the company, Ben is handling sales, distribution, as well as marketing. And this guy, Ben, was instrumental in creating a distinctive Meals at Home brand. So Ben has positively influenced the brand as well as the reputation of the company. And Ben is keen for the business to expand its product base. So Ben is focused on expanding the product base as much as possible. So that's exactly why I said that there could be a scenario in the exam which highlights that the company is pursuing or expanding into the vegan meal kit market. Then let's look at the IT director, Ravi Smith, the second founder or the co-founder of this company. Ravi had developed the IT systems since he's from an IT background. He was involved with the development of the company's website as well as the subscription app. So he has hands-on experience with the company operations, and he is interested in the company making use of artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies. Again, the examiner is providing us a hint about what type of a scenario you'd encounter at the real exam. So the IT director believes in technological improvements, bringing technological improvements. So that's something good to have within the board. Then Henry Lopez, I mentioned about this guy earlier. I said that the two founders, since they did not have enough knowledge about the industry, they got in touch with chef. So Henry Lopez, who was part and parcel of the business since inception, is now the recipe development director. And he has been with the company from the beginning, and he's involved with his responsibilities are pertaining to developing and testing all recipes. And he's a fully qualified chef with many years of experience, which has been beneficial for the company. And his interest is with regards to the nutritional value of food. And it's good to have a recipe development director which believes in the nutritional value of food, because that's exactly what our customers are asking for. We are dealing with health conscious customers, so in such a context we have to make sure that the nutritional value of food is upheld, and that's exactly what our recipe development director is interested in doing. Then looking at the production director, Greta Beats joined the company in 2018, and responsible for ingredient procurement. So Greta Beats is involved with supply chain management within the company, as well as she overlooks the production facility where assembly and packaging occurs. She previously worked as a senior buyer for a supermarket company, so she had been within the procurement industry for a long period of time. So it can be assumed that she has appropriate knowledge which could be beneficial to the company when it comes to working with different types of suppliers. Greta is a champion of sustainability. So the two founders of the company believe in sustainability, and our production director believes in sustainability as well. So when pursuing supply relationships, when running our company operations, when running our manufacturing, rather the production facility, sustainability will be upheld at all times. And looking at the last director, the finance director, Jack Quinn. So you are reporting as the finance officer of the company, you are reporting to the finance manager, and the finance manager reports to Jack Quinn, the finance director. So at the exam, there could be an instance where Jack Quinn sends you an email and is asking for your opinion in about with regards to a certain matter. Jack became a qualified accountant in 2004 and has been with the company since 2014. So for the past 8 years, this guy had been working for us, and all finances and human resources are under or handled by the finance director. Usually, when you look at a quoted company, when it comes to HR operations, you would have a separate department. However, since we are a smaller company, HR is under the purview of the finance director. So nothing too complicated there. And he was instrumental in securing finance from private investors and banks, and has built good relationships with financiers. So Jack Quinn is the link between us and our finance providers. Okay, so directors, the original founders are still functioning as the sales and marketing director and IT director. They seem to be motivated and dedicated, yet may be unwilling to give up control because this is a small company. That is usually the case. And the finance director has been instrumental in securing finances. And the board members emphasize on brand development, expanding the product base, adopting technology and digitalization such as artificial intelligence, upholding nutritional value of food, and sustainability. So these are the areas which the board members are interested in achieving. And looking at an overall analysis, we have a set of experienced board members. They have they come from certain educational backgrounds, and on top of that they have industry experience. Directors believe in company aims. Yes, everybody believes in the same type of aims, and no managing director or CEO is visible within the company. Why? Again, because this is a small company and we don't find an HR director. Even related areas pertaining to company operations, so leadership can be tested, so ethics will be tested, digital and social media marketing can be tested, because there's a hint provided about digitalization pursued by the company. So please go through these syllabus areas concerning big data and artificial intelligence and business intelligence tools. Again, I've prepared questions covering all these areas. And under P1, the CGMA cost transformation model will be tested, and digital costing will be tested. Again, I've included two separate questions covering the CGMA cost transformation model and digital costing. Right, so let's try to figure out what happens within the sales and distribution, production, as well as finance teams. So we are gonna look at three different teams: sales and distribution, production, and the finance team. So sales and marketing is handled by the sales and marketing director, Ben Jonas, and under him, he has three separate senior managers handling subscription services, marketing, as well as distribution. So by looking at this, you can see that there's a functional structure within the marketing function. And the same could be said about the production department. Production department is headed by Greta Beats, and under her, you get several different senior managers handling procurement, warehouse operations, as well as production. And under the production senior manager, there are three separate managers handling three separate operations within the company. Operations pertaining to herbs and spices, meal kit bag production, and meal kit box assembly. These things are headed by several different managers. And if you look at the finance function, again, you see the functional structure. The finance director heads the finance function. Jack Quinn, and under him you get two different finance managers, two different managers, one handling finance and the other handling HR. And under the finance manager is your boss since you are the finance officer. Under the finance manager, there's a finance team which comprises of 3 finance officers and 5 finance assistants. So out of these 3 finance officers, you are one of them. Okay, right. So what you need to remember is based on the structure within these 3 different departments, there's a functional structure in play. So you need to understand the pros or the advantages of functional structure. There's it leads to specialization because everybody, like-minded individuals are categorized accordingly, and prevents duplication of effort because when like-minded people are working together, they can bring in significant economies of scale advantages and drive down unnecessary costs as well as duplication. Duplication of effort. Then looking at the cons or the disadvantages, usually when you have a functional structure, it leads to empire building. In any given company, the finance and marketing departments are at each other's necks. Why? Because these are the most prominent and powerful departments within any given company. However, when finance and marketing are fighting with each other, the company cannot achieve success. So that's a disadvantage, empire building. And lack of cross-functional communication. Usually, if you are from the finance department, it might be the case that you do not communicate freely with your colleagues in marketing or colleagues in IT or whatever. So that happens when there is a functional structure in play. So please remember these things because these things could be replicated when providing answers at the real exam. And when you look at the structure of the finance function, that's pretty basic. It's important to remember the finance directors and finance managers names because it's going to appear in your questions. And when providing answers, you will be responding to these 2 guys mainly. So remember the names, Jack Quinn and Claire Turner. Jack Quinn is the finance director and Claire Turner is your boss finance manager. And your role is that of a finance officer. All right, so it brings us to the end of the first part of the pre-scene analysis. So as I told you earlier, a typical pre-scene consists of 4 main areas. So we tackled area number 1 today. I took you through the introduction of the company. In area number 2, information about company operations will be provided. As I told you guys earlier, I've done a video covering this area. It's already uploaded. So go to our website and check out the video pertaining to the information which is relevant to company operations. And in the third video, you'll have access to information pertaining to an industry analysis. Okay, so I'm talking about this area. Okay, MealKit industry. So the examiner has given you some information. So I've mentioned all this information. This has a lot of technical nitty-gritties. The examiner is going into the nitty-gritties of the industry. I've made your life easier by coming up with a set of comments which are precise and easily understandable. And in the 4th video, I'll be taking you through the financial statements of the company. You won't have access to the 3rd and 4th videos free of charge. However, you have access to the first 2 videos, the recorded session of this webinar, as well as the pre-recorded video pertaining to company operations. All right, so having said that, let me take you to the website once more. So you can click here to access free content. Just go to OCS and click here to access free content. So as part of free content, you'd get your hands on 2 pre-scene analysis videos as I highlighted, and this will be uploaded within the next 30 minutes. And you would get your hands on a mini mock exam, the questions as well as the suggested answers. And the 3rd webinar is happening next Sunday. And when I'm doing the 3rd webinar, I will be taking you through this mini mock and the suggested answer in order to highlight answering technique. So when just because you know your pre-scene, it does not mean that you can easily pass the operational case study. In order to pass the operational case study, you need to know your pre-scene. However, on the other hand, you need to understand answering technique. So it's of utmost importance that you attend next week's webinar. I would suggest you to attend the live webinar if possible, because then you can raise your concerns and I can address all your questions. Okay, so having said that, I've completed the areas which I plan to cover. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Okay, a student had said that the website was not visible. I'm sorry about that. So you can simply go to our website and refer to the free content. Any questions about the industry or about the introduction which we discussed about? Any questions, folks? All right. You are most welcome. Thank you for the positive feedback. Any questions, folks? Hope everybody understood what I was suggesting. All right, seems like there aren't any questions. So yeah, so you can contact us via our website, email, or WhatsApp. I hope you are already part of the WhatsApp group, and you can follow us on our social media handles, especially the blog posts. Please check out the blog posts. I've shared a blog post on the group already. The title of the blog post is the pre-scene is out, what now? So please go through that blog post, because it gives you comprehensive information about how to come up with a study plan and how to utilize your time, 6 weeks of your time until the exam. So as you know, there are 6 weeks between the pre-scene release and the examination, and you need to come up with a smart plan to fully utilize your limited time. So in order to do that, I would recommend you read the blog post which I shared, and you can check out the other blog posts which I've prepared as well. So one of the students are asking a question. What is your prescribed time before one does for case study? How long after sitting for P1? Well, Blessed, I do not get what you're saying fully. Can you switch on your mic? Maybe we can have a conversation, then I'd be able to address your concerns. Well, I think as far as I can understand from what what you have mentioned, just go through the blog post which I was referring to. Okay, I've shared it on the group as well. I'll be resharing it tonight. So please go through that. That has all the information about what you need to do when coming up with a time plan and preparing for the operational case study. And as I highlighted earlier, go through the other blog posts as well, because I've highlighted the common misconceptions and answering technique, how to gain marks and whatnot. I've come up with several different blog posts, so please read these blog posts. I hope I addressed your concern, Blessed. Okay. So you can contact us as well as follow us, and yeah, that okay. All right, Blessed, thank you. So thanks, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. I would ask you to log into our website and go through the free content, and in the next week, next Sunday, I'll be taking you through answering technique, extremely important session. So please join the live session if possible. So thank you very much for joining in, guys. This is Nick signing off. Good night.